Hey everybody, Kevin Shortell here once again with another episode for you of the Real Estate Without Renters podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast and especially sharing it with a friend. So if you go to meetup groups, real estate investment clubs, note investor meetings, anything, any place where people are investing and you're talking to them, please share the podcast. That absolutely helps and allows me to grow and continue to put out some good information for you on the podcast. For my regular listeners, yes, once again, I fell behind on the podcast, but I'll tell you what, it's been for good reasons. We've had an extremely busy month, and my clients are always number one priority for me. And when I get busy with that and helping them and getting towards the end of the year and closing deals, that's my number one priority. So sometimes podcasts and things like that have to kind of fall behind a little bit. So my apologies and not being as consistent as I would like to do on that. But I've got a great one for you today. I've got a great guest who I'm going to introduce you to in just a minute. But as far as the note business is going right now, everybody, gangbusters towards the end of the year, which I kind of expected. And I expect it to continue throughout the beginning of the year. We're getting a little bit of a boost right now with inventory and closings for those who haven't completely shut down for the holidays yet. Don't do that in this business, by the way, because a lot of the bigger companies want to close out their books. And that means, hey, if we have to take more of a discount to close out the books, let's do that. And we were able to take advantage of that scenario. In fact, I work a special deal with one of the companies, and it's worked really, really well. So busy on that. If you're still sitting on the sidelines in the note business, it's time to get off the sidelines and start to put yourself in motion here. Don't just wait. I'll start everything next year. I hear people doing that all the time, and it almost to the point of driving me nuts, because you're going to find yourself over the holidays where you've got some time to study and to learn some new skills and get away from your regular job. Why not take advantage of that opportunity and get yourself prepared for next year? Because you know what's going to happen. You're going to get through the holidays, and now you're spending all January trying to catch up. And the people who got going in December are ready to hit the ground running in January, and you're just falling that far behind. So once again, if you want to set up a call with me, if you want to shoot me an email, we'll set up a time to call. It's very simple. It's Kevin@kevinshortell.com. And don't forget, that's TLE. So it's Kevin at KEVINSHORTLE.com. And we'll schedule a call and talk about the business and see what I can do to help you, like I've helped so many people in the business before. Before we get rolling, once again, to my listeners who may be in the Orlando area, I've got a live event that I'm doing for NewView. NewView Trust is a self-directed IRA 401k company, and they're not far down the road from me. I know the owner. I know a lot of the staff over there, and I have for years. In fact, you may be seeing me sip off my NewView Trust mug here. And so I do know them very well. I think they're a good company. They do continuing education events on a fairly regular basis. Some of those are virtual, some of those are live, and this is their last event of the year. And they're very, very big and highly connected to an organization called Share the Wealth. And Share the Wealth provides wheelchairs worldwide to people who need it. So it's a really, really nice charity. They do a tremendous amount of work and effort, including traveling around the world, delivering those wheelchairs to people in need. So this is a celebration event. I'll be doing a presentation for about 30 minutes. But the most important thing about those type of events, everybody, is networking. I hear so many times where people come to me and say, I really want to start selling some notes, or how do I start to partner with other investors? How do I talk with other investors? Where do I meet them? That sort of thing. This is one of the places. Quest IRA does this. Equity Trust does this. My guest, I'm sure, has spoken at their events as well. We'll find out in just a minute. And NewView Trust does this. And there are people who have hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, if you look at the industry worldwide, trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines, sitting in cash and cash-like positions in IRAs and 401ks. And, when you're doing that, you're falling behind, especially when you have inflation that is at 30-year highs right now. So people have to put that money in motion. And the two most popular places for alternative investments for people with IRAs and 401ks real estate and real estate notes. So go to events like this. If you're here in Orlando and you want to come to this event, if you're a New View client, you've already received the invitation. If you're not a New View client, but you'd like to become one or explore that, I think it's open to anybody. December 14th, which is a Wednesday, a week from yesterday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And again, I'll only be speaking for 30 minutes. Shouldn't be your main attraction if you're listening to this, because you know me. Go there, network with other people, and that's how you get the ball rolling. There are people that are looking for these alternative investments as people become better educated with savings and with investing and insurance and all these, which lends perfectly into our guest that I have for you today. Our guest I've known now, right before COVID. So whatever that is, COVID's kind of got my dates all messed up, but I met Hannah in I think it was Arizona. And since then, she has gone on with the Money Multiplier. Many of you may have heard that name before, but she's the Chief Operations Manager now at the Money Multiplier. She also teaches money techniques and management, and is really on the cutting edge of some techniques that are just not taught. They're not techniques that are brand new. These are techniques that wealthy people have used all the time, and she has become an expert in that. So my guest is Hannah Kesler. Hannah, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. That was a lot of good information. I'm excited to even go explore myself.
Yeah, it's a good event, and like I said, there's other companies that do that, and people just they're not taught money techniques a lot. People have a job and they, say they put money in the 401k, and the 401k says, here's the limited amount of investments that you can go into. And, unfortunately in our school systems, don't really teach money management techniques and things. You kind of have to learn on your own. And that's certainly one of the aspects that you all teach at the Money Multiplier is how to better manage, your money. And so what are your thoughts on that with savings and investments and a way people can maximize their returns, but, get the safety that they need? What are some of the things that you're teaching people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think in my opinion, I think really where the crisis is that it really just isn't taught. A lot of the rich, elite, wealthy individuals that are out there, they're not sitting down with you at your kitchen table, showing how cash flow works, showing, hey, instead of you putting your dollar here, it makes more sense to put it here, because look at the long run of just what's going to happen. They're not doing that. So the masses are following what the masses are doing, and they wonder why, hey, the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. I don't like to say that a lot, but that is really a phenomenon that's going on in our American economy right now. And so what I would have to say, though, is honestly, where we hone in on a lot of our teachings is that I'm not here to show you how to go out and make your money, how to go out and invest your money, because y'all are really good at making money. You all know how to get up out of bed every single day, go to work, go do what you love to do to produce the income, but you're not too great at keeping that money. You have parasites inside of your financial life that you need to get control of and that you need to get out of here so you can start taking back that control. And in my opinion, it all starts where your dollar goes first. That's my honest opinion.
Mm-hmm. And in the philosophy, if you will, of investing that you're most associated with, it's learning how to envelop a technique with life insurance that gives you, on the one hand, an investment. It also gives you the ability to borrow and have your money grow in other investments, such as notes. I work with a lot of people that have been through Money Multiplier trainings, and of course, I've met you in the process of that as well. And they're just really excited about getting that going, and I think it's been proven, obviously, as a successful model over time, because again, it's not anything really new. There might be new twists to it, but it's a technique that wealthy people have done, much like in the note business all the time. I talk about buying notes in trust. And it's more of an advanced technique, but it's nothing that I've invented. Trust had been around, once again, for a long time. Started with wealthy people in Chicago, actually. There's a whole story about how these trusts give you the privacy. And it's just such a great technique. I just did a deal where I closed on a trust. It's so super simple, easy to do, saves you recording fees, saves you hassle, saves you money, maximizes your returns. And it's out there. It's just, where do you get that information? Well, in my case, you get the specialized information from me. In your case, it's taking people's money and using a specialized technique. That's what you teach them. And then, as you say, go invest it where you want to, but run it through this channel. Can you explain a little bit about what that channel means?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll kind of start here because, right, everybody produces income, whether it be active income or passive income. And so when money comes into us, what happens? We flow it through a bank, a central bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, so on and so forth. Then from there, what the bankers do, right? Because we, the depositors of that bank, when we leave money down at the central banks, that is now a liability to that bank. So now what that bank does is they use our money and they turn that liability into an asset by lending it out in the loaning business. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same principle and same mindset, and I'm just going to practice that same thing in my own life. And so how I do this, the vehicle that we use is a specifically engineered whole life insurance policy. Whole life insurance, boring, guarantees. It's not very fun and exciting and sexy, right? And I like that because essentially what I want to put my dollars into a place where I know no matter what happens, the market goes up, we go down, war happens, right? I know that inside of that policy, I have that guaranteed secured growth within inside of there. So all I'm doing is I'm just going to store and keep my wealth inside of the policy, which what I just like to call my bank, the privatized bank of Hannah Kesler. And now I am going to use that money from my bank, lend it out to me or to other people. And now I'm the one who gets to keep all of the profits, interests, and dividends on myself rather than the bankers making it on me. So that's high level of what's going on over here and what we're doing. And I can even talk on like a few other steps, right? Because like inside of my policies, right? We get that the guaranteed growth, asset protection, right? Hey, if I ever get sued, nobody can come after that policy. That's why we love trust too, right?
Right.
Number one, tax-free growth. What is our largest eroder of wealth, people? It's our taxes. So all I'm going to do is I'm not going to invent anything different. I'm just going to mimic and imitate what the elite and wealthy have been doing all these years. Because matter of fact, life insurance has been around longer than our tax codes have even been here. Tax code just came into effect in 1913. And in my opinion, our economy was so much better off without it. And we even had a surplus in that time before it. But anyways, that's a rant for another time.
Yeah, it's an interesting parallel. Something that you said there kind of triggered it in my mind. What I've said for years at my live events and training, it's like if you give a bank, deposit it into a bank $100,000, they don't lock that away in a vault, right? What do? They lend it out. And what do? Now, the take I put on that is a little different from yours, but it's the same concept, which is they take it out and they lend it in the form of mortgages. So we're doing the same thing in the note business. Is we're becoming the bank.
Yes.
And in what you teach, it's such a direct parallel because you're becoming the bank with your own money. And by the way, you all may have noticed she talked about whole life, but not once did she said death benefit or anything like that. It's utilizing that type of policy. The death benefit's a whole separate bonus issue later on for somebody. But it's the technique of just moving that and positioning yourself as a bank. So we do that in the note business. You do that through money multiplier techniques. And it's a smart thing to do because that's why every city you go to, the biggest buildings have banks on top of it, right? That's because they're taking everybody's money and they're just lending it out at higher returns. They're a middleman. So we're effectively cutting out the middleman, whether it's utilizing the whole life insurance technique and or investing in notes. And of course, there's that combination, because many of the people that you've taught your techniques to go, okay, this is great, I got the tax-free growth here, but now I'm sitting on some money. Where should I make that money grow or multiply? And a lot of them turn to notes, and hopefully land over here working with me.
And actually another parallel as you were talking there, note investing, you can also say that you are really in control of those transactions as well. And that's another parallel between the infinite banking concept and the note business, is that you are in control because you essentially are the bank. You can do whatever you want with that note whenever you want with it, right?
Yeah, it's another commodity. I mean, it's just another asset that you have, and when you own a note, you can sell the note. We have a very liquid market today on that. You can even sell part of the note, some of the techniques that we do. But you're right, you're in control, and when you're in control of your own money, you should be maximizing your returns. And that's what, I talked earlier. I'm going to be at this event in December. That's a self-directed IRA. Nobody is telling you where to invest, which I love. You're not limited by some company saying, here's the stocks and mutual funds that you can choose from. Let somebody else manage that. The folks who put their money in things like self-directed IRAs and 401ks, they want that control and say, I want to put it where I want to put it. So all these things are directly connected. And that's why I think when people, whether they come to your events or my events, they hear a little bit on each side of that, because that's really what smart people and generational wealth is started from and built from.
I agree. And now I actually have a question for you, Kevin. I want to ask you, okay, because we're here at the end of the year. I know we're here December 2022. What do you think is going to be like speculative of what's going to happen next year, quarter one, quarter two in the real estate world, and like what would happen with notes and stuff?
Well, it is something that I constantly look at, and it's a very confusing time because you're getting conflicting information from all sides. And part of that, like it or not, we're in a heightened political arena these days, and you got one side saying this, another side saying that. So it's hard sometimes to read through the line. But when you take the baseline facts, I think we're going to continue to see inflation maybe creep up a little bit. I don't think it's going to go up and spike. I still think recession is on the table. We've definitely seen factual information where pending real estate sales dropping off. I think it was 46% dropping off year to year. Pending, and I know that locally too. I have friends that own real estate companies around here, and they're going, "Oh yeah, our listings are up, but the deals are falling through because interest rates are up, mortgage rates are up, and those sorts of things." And I look at the market through the lens of a real estate note investor, and for us, what put us on the map in the note business was really the crash in 2009 and 10. So we had the collapse of real estate finance. We had the collapse of real estate prices on that. And that's what brought real estate notes to the forefront of the real estate industry, because we became the problem solvers. The banks couldn't do it. Wall Street couldn't do it. The government couldn't do it. So it was up to individual investors. Add on top of that, change in legislation, the Dodd-Frank Act in particular, and change in technology, the ability to access information on public records, that changed our industry to where we have inventory year-round now. It used to be more ebb and flow. Now it's just year-round good inventory levels. And when the economy, so whether the economy stays the same, whether it improves or whether it goes down, we're going to have inventory. If it goes down, which I'm not wishing upon, I hope it doesn't, but the reality is we have to face the facts where it very well could. We're seeing big layoffs in tech companies. That's a sign that there's going to be more layoffs and such coming. Money's more expensive, through inflation. And, God forbid, if we have recession, it's going to get even worse. And property values already peaking and starting to go down. In the note business, that's going to be eventually more inventory for us. So it's kind of that weird where you're like, gee, I don't want the economy to tank, but if it does, we're very well positioned to do that because we're safe. And so that's what I see coming up in the first quarter.
Okay, good. And honestly, that was just me asking as my own personal personal notion there, because
Yeah.
honestly, no, I agree with you. And because honestly, Kevin, you are one of my mentors. I do follow you, and I check up on what you're doing and what you're posting out there, because I do think you're a smart individual. And because honestly, y'all, I am not the brightest candle on the cake, but I know how money works. I know the people that are doing it correctly, and I see what they're doing. So I'm just going to follow what they're doing. And I wanted to ask you that because one of my other mentors, it really is positioning yourself so that when these opportunities do appear, that you are ready and you can jump on and go get them. And so I'm happy to hear you say that, because personally in my life right now, I'm positioning myself that I'm not buying right now. I don't want to buy. I'm kind of waiting until that collapse does happen, and then I have that opportunity to hop in now. And one more thing, thanks for pardon my French here, but thanks for getting my ass in gear, because you're absolutely right. I am one of those people that I have been sitting on the sidelines, not really doing my studying that I need to really hop in fully into the note investing business, because I'm on the paper side. I like the private lending side of real estate, and we got the business over here at the Money Multiplier. But I really, you're right. Over these next few days, we got the holidays coming up. I'm going to sit down and really dive more into it.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to get away from the family and all the stress of the holidays.
That's right.
Carry your health, your head into learning something new, and I think it's a great time of year to do that, and a great opportunity, because again, the holidays do give us a chance to kind of sit back, but we can sit back and not do anything, or just say, hey, you know what, I'll take a couple hours a day and just learn something new, or start looking around at assets or what have you. So good. Well, I'm glad glad I was able to do that for you. Hey, here's another one for you though, and I may have learned this from a speaker, or I may have read it somewhere. I can't recall.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking more it's in a book or something, but people say, you're so lucky. A lot of times people see successful people. Oh, wow, you're so lucky. How'd you get in that industry and everything else? And it really comes down to the definition that I've learned from luck is the intersection of opportunity and preparedness.
Yes.
And opportunity is always there. So I love that definition, because it just means all you have to do is be prepared, because opportunity is always there. And guess what? When you're prepared and you see opportunity, you get lucky, right? But it really has nothing to do with luck. It's more of getting yourself ready for what's happening. So I've been encouraging all of my people, and I know you do your own podcasts and such too, and you do personal consulting with people on money management techniques, and we can talk a little bit more about that. But I'm encouraging them to, hey, don't slow down right now. The opportunities are still right here, because also people get wrapped up into trying to predict the future enough, go, oh, no, I'm waiting. I'm sitting on the sidelines until things really get bad. And even people within my industry, I don't know if it happened within yours, but so-called experts in my industry were, for this whole year, going into last year, going, ooh, keep your powder dry, keep cash on the side, get ready, because we're going to see this huge inventory. And so many people sit there. 3 months turns into six turns into 9. They're going, I didn't buy a single thing. I've been sitting here on cash, and my inflation's now been eating this away because I was waiting for that huge opportunity. You got to merge into those things. You've got to keep going. So my clients have thankfully been following through and even accelerating their results towards the end of this year. They're well prepared into next year. So I'll have a lot of lucky clients. Let's say into next year, because they're ready. They're ready. So let's go. Let's shift gear. Oh, well, let's put a little pin on that. So essentially, in a nutshell, and you can correct me where I'm wrong here or affirm this, the basis of what you're teaching people, for the main part, and I know there's auxiliaries of that, is take your money get one of these special whole life insurance policies, not just a whole life that they're maybe familiar with and probably have some preconceived notions about, but buy this specialty type of, or invest in is probably a better way to put it, invest in one of these special types of whole life insurance policies that you can immediately, within 30 days, 60 days, it depends on several variables, that you can immediately start to borrow that money back and invest that in other things to pay off other things. And when you pay that money back, you're essentially paying yourself, but you're also getting a return on investment from the original investment that you have. Did I sum that up okay?
Bingo, bingo. Here's how I put it. Opportunity cost. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about. And I think this is one of the most misconceptions that people just don't understand about how money really works, is that people think that when you finance something, or let me put it like this. You finance every single thing that you buy, whether you pay cash for it, you bank finance it, or you lease it. You are financing that transaction because you either pay interest to somebody else or you give up the interest that you could have earned. So when you funnel money through these specifically engineered whole life policies first, and I funnel it through there, now for the rest of my life, I am earning a guaranteed uninterrupted growth. Then what I'm doing is I have this equity inside of this policy contract. I'll take out some money from it, and then I will go buy the things that I'm already going to go buy in life anyways, right? You're still going to go on vacations. You're still going to go buy your notes. You're still going to go buy boats and airline tickets and pack of chewing gums, right? It's just that now that I know how my dollar works, I'm just going to finance that transaction in a better way that's going to put me ahead in the long run.
Right. Exactly. So it's where can people learn more? We've got more time, but it's a great chance to tell people where they can find out more about you, the Money Multiplier, your podcast. Where can somebody do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So anyways, the Money Multiplier podcast is out there on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever you stream your podcast. We got the YouTube channel, YouTube's, we got the TikTok, Facebook groups. We even have 7 live webinars a week. So just go to themoneymultiplier.com and you'll get connected into the community. And my name's Hannah Kesler and my email is hannah@themoneymultiplier.com.
Awesome. Hey, I want to shift gears because one of the things that I really enjoy doing, and I think it's very important skill for people to acquire, is something that I've seen. Obviously, I know your father, and he's a very good public speaker. And I don't believe when we first met that you were quite speaking yet. Maybe you were, but I noticed in Buffalo, we were at the BYOB event earlier this year. The summer, whenever that was, this was the summer, yeah. And you came
like
up to me afterwards, and I could tell you were studying, the presenters and understanding why they're saying what they're saying and what's behind that. So you're kind of dissecting what public speaking is all about, because I do believe it's a science. There's definitely a science of that, how you say things, the inflection you put on, and everything else. So I think you've been kind of a student of that. So I was curious to get your thoughts on public speaking. What are the benefits of doing that? How do you learn more about it? That sort of thing.
Yeah. And I know a lot of, like, actually, if you ever ask my mom, for instance, to go out and public speak, she's not going to do that. She's just not that type of person. But in my opinion, what I love about public speaking is it really does build your confidence. I mean, when you're able to get up there and really present and showcase yourself, I mean, you feel like you're on top of the world as soon as you get done there. And on top of that, when you are really sharing information that can truly impact and help people's lives for the better, it's just another whole other feeling in that manner. So I do agree, because actually when we met, Mr. Dan Clark was there. Dan Clark is a very well-known big public speaker, and that is really where you have to start, is that you do really have to study these public speakers, because they're just how they're showcasing, how they tie in these jokes, how they're personable with the audience, right? It's just those little characteristic things that make them so unique that people really do tune into them. And even actually, even like school, our teachers and professors in colleges, they're public speaking, and you've probably gone to a class that you're like, oh my gosh, I hate this class. This class is like 2 hours long every single week. I just totally dread this class because he makes it so boring and I just don't want to be there. And you know, you want to make things fun and exciting for people to really grasp on. And because at the end of the day, you know, people love to stay inside of their comfort norms, that when they do hear some new information and you come with a presentable, enlightening, happy mood, for lack of better words, it makes them more receptive and open to hearing what you have to offer in your information.
Yeah, it's, you know, I think in my case, again, and a lot of my listeners obviously invest in real estate and specifically real estate notes. One of the most common things I get is, well, I need to work with other investors, because at some point in time, it's very likely in the note business that you run out of your own capital. You know, you've got monthly income coming in, you're invested, but you want to grow, you want to expand. You still have the knowledge and the ability to find deals. It's like, but how do I make money in those deals when my other money's already invested? And the answer is, well, you need to use other people's money, right? Again, nothing new to that concept, but how do we tap into other people's money? Well, one thing is, and how I started this podcast was talking about, you know, groups, you know, like the IRA companies and things like that. But there's other local meetups, there's local real estate investment club meetings, and believe me, a local real estate investment club is always looking for something new. They're always looking for somebody to write an article in the newsletter. You know, it's like the person in charge of that newsletter or booking events, many times it's like, oh, I don't want the same people all the time. What do we talk about? What's different? And that's an open invitation for somebody, you know, with the skill set to go in there and get in front of a group. And I think, you know, you said it's uplifting, it's powerful, but it's also, I think for a lot of people, it's intimidating and they feel vulnerable. Like, oh boy, these people might know more about this than I do. How did you overcome that? Because you're a younger person than I, certainly, but you're a younger person getting started in this. Part of you in the beginning, I would guess, and maybe this didn't happen to you, just felt like a little like, well, these folks know a lot more, but I don't know, maybe you turned and said, man, maybe more about other things, but not this. What are your thoughts on that?
That's it. That's it. As long as I get up there and I know what I'm saying is correct and factual, because honestly, at the end of the day, I'm right here with y'all. I mean, where the Money Multiplier has gotten up to this point is that we were practicers, haha, or consumers of this infinite banking concept. And so all I'm doing is I'm just showing you what has worked in my life and how I have gotten here. So, right, because I'm second generation to this stuff. And so when I go up there, I know some people do, because here's the two biggest things, Kevin. Number one, I am young. Number two, I'm a female. That sets me back, to be honest with you. Yeah. And so I know if I get up there and I speak with confidence and I know what I'm talking about is correct, I'm good. It doesn't matter what anybody else says or what they're trying to challenge me, because I love having challenging conversations with folks. And I'm very open to always hearing other people's viewpoints and their sides, because as Nelson Nash says, you can never hit that arrival syndrome, meaning that you can't stop learning. I'm always open to new ideas. That's really where it comes from. And two, as well, you got to stay relaxed too. When you get up there, you can't be so all up tense, right? Don't be so tense. And as long as you just have that confidence within yourself, I mean, you can honestly conquer the world. It sounds so freaking cheesy when I say that, but you really can.
Yeah, it is amazing. And there is something also, anybody who's thinking about this, there is something about reps, you know, just like working out, you know, you got to put in the reps, and that's where you start to get the results. Because certainly I made some mistakes when I first started speaking. I've done short presentations and long format. Now the long formats I've done have been 3 days speaking 6 hours a day to the same group. You got to keep them entertained. You got to keep them educated and at the edge of the seat. And that takes a lot of experience to get, I think, to that level where you can do that and have people come back over and over again to that. But there's short formats as well, making an impact in 20, 30 minutes. So I'm, coming up to this event, it's 30 minutes. It's not a full, not even an hour, so I've got to be very tight on that. And, how do you punctuate that? How do you get your message across strongly? I think it does take some thought and some preparation and just, keeping within yourself. Was that one of the skills you had to learn, is like keep it in, because it's easy for a speaker to go like just deviate, and you've got to have a discipline sometimes to just boom, stay on focus.
Absolutely. I actually, when I first started speaking, I wrote down my full presentation word for word,
and tried to memorize it.
If y'all never seen us live, we have a full hour and a half, 90-minute presentation. I wrote down the whole thing word for word. And then what I did, so then I could get comfortable with it, practice with it. Because we've all heard, right? If you write things down, it sticks to your memory better.
Absolutely does.
And so that's what I did. I started there, and then I was going out and I was following my other mentors, right? Because everything that I know up to from this concept in public speaking is from my father. And so I just went up there and I just mimicked what he did. And actually, here's another advice too. I started off doing virtual webinars. I liked that. Start off with the virtual webinars, and then I got into the rooms. Obviously, COVID had something to do with that as well, but I did like that. It was a lot more practice for me. So I did that. And then now I'm kind of up to the point where now I'm adding my own flair to it. I'm adding Hannah's own flavor, Hannah's own little jokes here and there, that it is being more of a personable presentation, and instead of just like robot talk and whatever, right?
Yeah. And so you, like myself, I never went through, so I really can't have a full opinion. I could always have opinion, but I can't have a full, I don't have all the facts on, gosh, what do they call it? Toastmasters or, groups like that for professional speaking. I've never done that. In fact, most of the speakers I've ever known over the years haven't gone down that path.
I agree. I don't know very many folks. I mean, I do know folks who have business coaches, and maybe they follow people who are great, phenomenal public speakers. But in my opinion, I don't think you really need like now, okay, this is my opinion only.
Right.
Yes, you need to have somebody who's going to be there to hold you accountable. But in my opinion, everything is already within inside of yourself. Study those people and what they're doing, and just kind of add your own flair to it. And then go out and say, all right, Dad, sit down. I'm going to present it in front of you. Give me your feedback after I'm done here. So it's definitely just the practice, consistency. And honestly, in any business aspect, consistency is number one. Just stay consistent with what you're doing and it will come there.
Yeah. And I would say too, on that same line, if you have somebody who is a professional speaker, professional meaning they're being paid to speak, whether they're being paid a fee or they're selling, they're being paid to be there, and you're learning under their wing and they want to give you comments of what you're doing, please listen. Sometimes I mean, I had a guy, I was trying to get him to, to good speaking level. And he had the confidence, he had all that, but the way he approached it, and he just always took everything as a criticism. And I'm like, look, I'm trying to set you up. I'm trying to let you understand why I'm saying things now to set up later, and how you're weaving these things in. And he never made it because he just felt, nope, I know what I'm doing. And, so again, I know this is a great time. I could spend a lot more time in this. We're coming up on our time, but I love this topic, and I've invited through my clients. So on my clients, if you're not a client of mine, you should be. Listen to my podcast, go to kevinshotel.com or realestatewithoutRenters.com and learn more, set up a call. But with my private clients, we have a Zoom every other Wednesday night. So I did one last night. And sometimes people have deals. They want to sell, or I said, look, you want to come on and spend 10 minutes, because that's really all you need to show, hey, here's a note deal that I have. Type 10. That's all you need. And if you want to practice in front of a group, that's a great way to do it. Nobody there is judging you. They're all clients of mine. So for my clients, I have that. And it's something I've been thinking of expanding, Hannah, where, because it's such a valuable skill. You want to, it is sales, by the way, too, everybody, because if you have a note you're looking to sell, or a note that you're looking to broker, whatever, you're looking to attract partners and stuff, you've got to be able to sell it. You've got to be able to succinctly say, here's what it is, and make that sound realistically so good that they want to be a part of it. You know, and that takes a bit of practice. It takes a bit of technique in doing that. But I think it's really invaluable, because at some point in time, whether it's virtual or live, you got to open your mouth and sell it.
That's it. That's it. And I'll add two more to that. Know your product and know your audience.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of the things that's really tough when you're speaking in front of a group. You know, you've got, I don't know how many people were in Buffalo, for example, but I don't know, 100 or something, I don't know, whatever it was, but you get in front of a mixed audience, and that's what's challenging, because you don't know. So I always ask the event promoter, what's kind of the background? What are they looking for? So I try to get a feel for who that is. And in my longer form presentations, that's how I start my presentation. Tell me why you're here. What do you want to learn? What do you want to do? What's your experience in that? Because it's so helpful, because oftentimes you have to talk in terms that your audience could also understand, you know, from the framework in which they come from and what their expectations are. So yeah, you're 100% correct on that. All right. You got some events coming up. Actually, you want to come out?
I was going to ask you, man, are you going to be in Anaheim, California in February next year?
Is that for Noteworthy?
Noteworthy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah. In February. Yeah.
I think I'll be, actually, I think I will be the one speaking out there. So I'll
cool.
be there with y'all, and actually next week. So flying out here this coming weekend is going to be in Las Vegas this week at the Flamingo Hotel. If y'all are around, come out and hang out at the Ultimate Wealth Camp. And but that's really it for the year. Nothing else going on.
Very good. All right, everybody. That's Hannah Kesler, Chief Operations Manager at the Money Multiplier. And again, the website, if you missed it, is themoneymultiplier.com. From there, you can find out where all their events are. You can find out all of the information about what they do and what they teach. And if you want to check out Hannah's podcast, again, just go to all the sources where you get your podcasts and look up the Money Multiplier, and you'll find it there. Hannah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again for carving out some time and being on today.
Absolutely. It's always good talking with you. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. You too.